Hi everyone, we are back for FinTech TV for AI Governance Lab. We have the great pleasure to have Jean-Michel FRANCO. Jean-Michel, who is the Senior Director for Data Governance Project for Talent. Hi Jean-Michel.
Hello, how are you?
Fine, thanks. We have the pleasure to have you last year at Big Data Paris about the governance on the data. What about the new, not only trends, but the new achievements quite 1 year after the GDPR implementation?
Yeah, so 1 year ago, it was 2 months before GDPR went into effect. And GDPR was really interesting because although we believe and we have benchmarked the company and we feel that 70% of the company are not yet compliant, what happened is that it was a lot in the media. So I think as a consumer, we understand the stakes. We understood a lot of scandals around privacy. So the consumer understands the stakes. And I think the enterprise understand more and more. So because of the GDPR, they had to report on their data leaks, and there were a lot that were reported. Now they take care, even if leaks still happen. And there is a chief, a privacy data protection officer at the company, and so there is someone who is accountable, and that is a game changer because now the people that are accountable understand that the enterprise is not perfect. Misses a lot of things, misses operational skills, missing being able to be hands-on in the data, missing some principles, and that is a game changer. So I think companies are going in a right way overall.
What do you think about the topic implementation within corporations? Is it such a kind of CSR responsibility to embed the whole board, all the executive in the same way, or is something aside? Data governance is something aside?
So at the beginning, if you take what is linked to privacy and to ethics, so at the beginning it was seen as very legal. So there's a new regulation, we have to comply with the regulation. So it was a lot of process, it was a lot of written papers and things like that. But then company now begin to understand that it's not about legal, it's about having a contract, a trust contract with the customer. And so that is totally different. And there's a legal dimension in that, but this trust, this trust is essential. And with the digital things, you need to have facts, you need to have data, you need to know, consumer need transparency. And so some companies are realizing that they need to establish this trust contract with their consumers.
So the consumer is within the cycle, the virtual cycle of the process.
Yeah, I think he's at the center. So I often make the parallel with a physician. If I go to see my physician, I can give him private information because he has made a Hippocratic oath, and there's no doubt that he will use the data for me, and that he will want to share with insurance and things like that. So there's a clear contract. What we are missing in our industry is that this contract isn't clear, but there's pressure from the consumer and the customers to establish more transparency with that respect.
Do you think that not only corporation to provide very good signals or very good program to communicate for all the stakeholders is a good thing. But to go deeper in this side, it's also about, you mentioned Hippocrates sermon for physicians. Do you think that we have to embed all tech or non-tech teams to have not only a guideline but to have such an Hippocrates sermon, because they are going to manage sensible things?
Yeah, I think this always a principle of accountability. And the more we will use data for strategic things, the more the company will need to be responsible. I often take the case of GPS and self-driving cars. So if the GPS drives you in the wrong direction, you still drive, so this is your responsibility. This is not the supplier of the GPS. If it's a self-driving car that goes into the wrong direction, then it is the responsibility of the supplier. And so that's something that companies are realizing. Before, they looked at data quality and things like that. That's something like a little bit like climate change. So there is an issue, but nobody is really accountable. Now, yeah, some companies are realizing that they need to take this accountability. Ethics is part of this accountability. Data quality is another. So you need to take that dimension and be responsible of that.
What kind of skills do people who are in charge these topics, this perimeter, how not only about their backgrounds or previous experiences, but about their soft skills? What kind of skills do they have are a must?
I think the first one might be pedagogy, so being able to explain why it is important, maybe being able to engage the business, because the business needs to understand the stakes.
Leadership is a key.
Yeah, so leadership and bringing the people together into a collaborative effort. So I think that's the main, and it needs also to be operational, because at the end of the day, let's take a very concrete example. I mentioned that we believe that companies are not yet compliant to GDPR. How did we prove that? We just ask for data. And with GDPR, it's a simple thing. You make an email and you ask for your data, and the company has 30 days to give you back the data. 70% of the companies miss that. They are not able to do that. So it's really very concrete, very operational. Looks like a simple things, but company cannot do that. So it's not just a matter of processes and an organization. It's also a matter of, okay, you need to be hands-on with the data.
So quite 1 year after GDPR, it takes time.
Yeah, it takes time, and we are only at the beginning. So continuing with my example is just asking for access to data, but there are principles in GDPR that are much more complex, and like data portability, being able to that your customer give your data to share with others. Or there is one that nobody talks about, but very important one, which is the right of explanation. When an algorithm tells you yes or no for a credit or thing like that, you need to explain to the customer what happened, how did the algorithm choose. And this is a big thing, and I think most people are not there yet. We fail to be able to explain the outcomes of AI currently in most cases.